If Niccolò Machiavelli were to wake up in London, or perhaps New York, in the year 2026, he would not be frightened by the technology. He would not cower before the black mirrors we hold in our palms, nor would he be baffled by the invisible networks that carry our voices across oceans. No, he would be amused. He would look at a world drowning in artificial intelligence, algorithmic surveillance, and dopamine addiction, and he would smile, not because he loves chaos, but because he would recognize the pattern. He would understand with terrifying clarity that the game hasn't changed, only the board has. He would look at the influencers screaming for attention, the CEOs posting vulnerability threads on LinkedIn, the politicians fighting in comment sections, and he would see them for what they are, prey. In a world where everyone is screaming to be seen, the man who remains invisible is the only one who holds the knife. Machiavelli in 2026 wouldn't be an influencer, he wouldn't be a content creator, he would be the static in the system, the glitch you cannot explain, the person who wins every war before the first shot is even fired. Most people labor under the delusion that the future belongs to the loudest, to the ones with the most followers, the most data, the most reach. They are fundamentally wrong. In the digital age, power does not belong to the signal, it belongs to the void. And today, I am going to hand you the blueprint of that void.
What you are about to hear is not self-help. It is not advice on how to be productive or happy or mindful. If you are looking for comfort, close this video. Go back to the algorithm that feeds you sweet lies. This is a doctrine of survival for a future that is becoming increasingly hostile to human autonomy. We are moving into an era, if we are not already there, where your thoughts are predicted before you think them, and your desires are manufactured before you feel them. To survive this, intelligence is no longer enough. You must be Machiavellian, but not the Machiavelli of the 1500s, the Machiavelli of the digital dark age. We are going to dissect 13 psychological rules. These are the adaptations of the prince for a world ruled by silicon and surveillance. If you apply them, you become a ghost in the machine. You become the one person the system cannot predict, and therefore the only person it cannot control. But be warned, once you see the strings, you can never go back to being a puppet. The comfort of ignorance is a luxury you can no longer afford. Let us begin the dissection.
Rule 1. The algorithmic ghost. Starve the prediction. Machiavelli once wrote, "Men are so simple and so much inclined to obey immediate needs that a deceiver will never lack victims." In the 16th century, the deceiver was a rival prince or a corrupt pope. In 2026, the deceiver is the algorithm, and it is far more efficient than any Borgia could ever dream of being. Consider this. The system knows what you want to buy before your wallet is open. It knows who you find attractive before you swipe. It knows who you will vote for before the ballot is printed. It knows this because you feed it. You are, in the most tragic sense, domesticated. You respond to stimuli like a lab rat hitting a lever for a pellet of sugar. You get angry at the current thing. You click the bait. You argue in the thread. You are creating a high-resolution data profile that makes you embarrassingly easy to manipulate. Machiavelli's first move in this century would be to starve the prediction. He would become an algorithmic ghost. Now, do not misunderstand. This does not mean deleting the internet and moving to a cabin in the woods. That is retreat, and Machiavelli never retreats unless it is a tactical feint into a trap. To become a ghost means to remain in the system but to disrupt the pattern. If the world demands you to be consistent, you must become erratic. You must feed the beast false data. This is the art of data poisoning. If you are always angry, the algorithm will feed you rage. If you are always agreeable, it will sell you compliance. But if you are a paradox, if one day you engage with philosophy and the next with absurdity. If you buy things you don't need only to return them, if you silence your location, not out of paranoia, but out of strategy, you break the model. Why is this necessary? Because when you cannot be profiled, you cannot be targeted. In a social context, this rule is even more lethal. Modern society is obsessed with branding. People want to know who you are so they can put you in a box. Are you left-wing or right-wing? Are you an alpha or a beta? Are you rich or are you grinding? They need these labels to feel safe. Machiavelli would refuse the box. He would be fluid. One day he is the life of the party, the gravitational center of the room. The next he is unreachable, cold, distant. He would quote classical philosophy in a street fight and use street slang in a boardroom. This is not confusion. This is camouflage. When people cannot figure you out, they obsess over you. They waste their mental energy trying to decode you. And whilst they are burning calories trying to understand your pattern, you are already 3 moves ahead, dismantling their defenses. In 2026, consistency is a death sentence. It makes you replaceable by AI. It makes you targetable by enemies. Be the glitch. Be the error message in their mental programming. When they expect you to zag, you don't zig. You vanish.
Rule 2. Weaponised Apathy. The Grey Rock Doctrine. We inhabit an outrage economy. Your anger is a commodity. Your offense is monetized. Every headline, every tweet, every 15-second video is designed with military-grade precision to bypass your logic and hijack your amygdala. Machiavelli would identify this as your greatest vulnerability immediately. He would look around and see a generation of men and women who have no emotional skin. You poke them, they bleed. You insult them, they type a paragraph. You ignore them, they spiral into self-doubt. Machiavelli said, "He who is the cause of another becoming powerful ruins himself." Apply this to the digital age. When you react to someone, you give them power. When you get angry at a provocation, you are transferring your energy to them. You are funding their relevance with the currency of your attention. In 2026, the ultimate power move is not to win the argument. It is to look at the argument, look at the person screaming, and feel absolutely nothing. This is the Grey Rock method, weaponized. Usually, therapists suggest the Grey Rock method to deal with narcissists, to become boring so they leave you alone. But we are taking it further. We are using it as an offensive weapon. You become a surface so smooth, so uninteresting, so cold, that their manipulation slides right off, leaving them exposed and foolish. Imagine a colleague trying to sabotage you. They spread a rumor. They try to trigger you in a meeting with a passive-aggressive comment. The old you, the predictable you, would defend yourself. You would raise your voice. You would look guilty even in your innocence because of your agitation. The Machiavellian you does something different. You look at them. You hold the eye contact for 3 seconds too long. You don't blink. You don't frown. You offer no micro-expression of distress. And then you turn back to your work without saying a word. You treat them like background noise, like a pop-up ad on a website. You don't argue with a pop-up ad, you simply close it. This silence destroys people. It breaks their psychological frame because they need your reaction to validate their existence. When you deny them that reaction, you are not just ignoring them, you are erasing them. In a world where everyone is screaming, "Look at me," the man who says nothing is the loudest thing in the room. Silence is not empty, it is heavy. It is full of answers they are afraid to hear. Use apathy as both a shield and a sword. Let them exhaust themselves trying to get a rise out of you. Let them punch the air until their arms are heavy. And when they are tired, panting, desperate for any acknowledgement, that is when you smile. A cold, detached smile, and you walk away. You have conserved your energy. They have depleted theirs. The war is won without a single casualty on your side.
Rule 3. The synthetic mirror. Narcissism is the key. If apathy is your shield, then the synthetic mirror is your key. To understand this rule, you must accept a fundamental, albeit ugly, truth about the year 2026. Everyone believes they are the main character.
Social media has trained humanity into a state of terminal narcissism. People are no longer looking for connection, they are looking for an audience. They scroll, they post, they broadcast, desperate for validation that they exist. Machiavelli would exploit this ruthlessly. He wouldn't try to impress people with his own achievements. He wouldn't bore them with his life story. He knows that fundamentally, nobody cares. The mistake most people make, the mistake you make, is trying to show others who you are. The new prince does the opposite. You do not show them yourself. You show them the version of themselves they desperately want to be. If you are dealing with a man who thinks he is an intellect, you do not prove you are smarter. You ask him questions that allow him to perform his genius. You let him preen. You let him lecture. You become the perfect surface for his ego to reflect upon. Why? Because once someone sees their ideal self reflected in your eyes, they become addicted to you. They don't love you. They love the way they feel when they are around you. It is a subtle distinction, but it is the difference between a friend and a fanatic. Machiavelli wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." In 2026, you must curate that appearance for each individual target. This is not being fake. This is interface design. You are designing a user interface for the human in front of you. For the insecure boss, you are the loyal, slightly less intelligent soldier. For the chaotic lover, you are the grounding rock. For the rebel, you are the co-conspirator. You shift, you adapt, you mirror. And the dark beauty of this mechanic is that whilst they are staring into the mirror, admiring their own reflection, they do not notice that you are studying them. You are cataloging their triggers, their insecurities, their vanity. You are gathering the data that will allow you to dismantle them later, should it become necessary. Most people try to break down walls with force. The mirror walks through the front door because the owner invited him in to look at the decoration.
Rule 4. The invisible hand. Outsource the dirty work. In the digital age, fingerprints are forever. Screenshots, forwarded emails, cloud backups, you cannot afford to be the villain. If you are caught destroying a reputation, sabotaging a rival, or cutting a throat, the mob will descend. Cancel culture is simply the modern guillotine. It is messy, it is public, and it is indiscriminate. Machiavelli advised princes to delegate unpopular measures to others and keep the means of winning favors in their own hands. In 2026, you must never be the one holding the knife. You must be the one who whispers to the man who holds the knife. This is the doctrine of the invisible hand. If a rival needs to be removed from your company, you do not file the complaint. You plant the seed of doubt in the mind of the boss. You make a casual comment to the office gossip. "I'm worried about him. He looks tired. I hope he isn't drinking again." You frame it as concern. You frame it as empathy. Then you step back. You let the system do the work. You let the rumor propagate. You let the algorithm of office politics run its course. When the blow lands, when he is fired, when the relationship ends, you are there to offer comfort. You are the survivor. You are the clean one. This applies to information warfare as well. Never attack an enemy directly on a public platform. It looks petty. It lowers your status. Instead, you allow others to attack for you. You like a comment. You share an article without a caption. You signal to your network who the target is without ever saying the name. The mob is a weapon, but you do not lead the mob from the front. You direct it from the back. This creates a terrifying aura around you. People will notice that bad things tend to happen to those who cross you, but they will never be able to prove it was you. They will suspect it. They will feel it in their gut. And that suspicion creates a far deeper respect than any direct threat ever could. The threat you can see is a challenge. The threat you cannot see is a curse. Be the curse.
Rule 5. The black box. Information asymmetry. We live in the era of radical transparency, or at least the illusion of it. People live stream their breakdowns. They tweet their precise location. They post their wins and their losses. They believe that sharing is connecting. Machiavelli would vomit at this display.
He knew that information is leverage, and when you give away information freely, you are hemorrhaging your leverage. In 2026, you must become a black box. You listen, you watch, you read, but you do not broadcast. When someone asks, "What are you working on?" you say, "A few things," and you change the subject. When someone asks, "Who are you seeing?" you smile and say nothing. You maintain a strict asymmetry. You know everything about them because they post it, they say it, they scream it. They know nothing about you. This imbalance creates power. Think about the most powerful algorithms: TikTok, YouTube, Google. Do you know how they work? No. They are proprietary black boxes. You put input in, you get output out, but the mechanism is hidden. That mystery is why they control you. You must become a black box to the people around you. If they know your plans, they can sabotage them. If they know your fears, they can trigger them. If they know your desires, they can withhold them. But if they know nothing, they are fighting a ghost. And there is a darker psychological effect here. When you are silent, people project their own fantasies onto you. They assume you are smarter than you are. They assume you are richer than you are. They assume you are more dangerous than you are. Silence is a canvas where people paint their own insecurities. Let them paint. Let them build a monument to you in their minds. Do not correct them. Do not clarify. In a world where everyone lives in a glass house, the man who lives in a bunker is king. Keep your input high and your output zero. Let them wonder. Let them starve for a glimpse of the truth.
Rule 6. Artificial empathy. The sniper's smile. There is a misconception that Machiavellians are cold, emotionless robots. This is amateur hour. A robot is easy to spot. A robot is easy to isolate. The true master of the dark arts is warm, charming, and deeply empathetic. But in 2026, this empathy is not a feeling, it is a tool. Machiavelli said, "A prince must know how to make use of the beast and the man." To survive in the modern social hierarchy, you must understand feelings better than the people who have them, but you must not be infected by them. You see, most people drown in empathy. They feel others' pain so deeply they cannot act. They get swept up in the hysteria of the group. You will view emotions as data points. When she is crying, you are not sad. You are analyzing. Why is she crying? What does she need to hear to stop? How can this vulnerability be used to bind her closer to me? When the team is panicking, you do not panic. You simulate concern. You mirror their anxiety just enough to show you are one of them, but inside, your heart rate hasn't changed. This detachment allows you to operate surgically. While everyone else is reacting to the emotional storm, you are navigating the ship. It allows you to say the perfect thing, not the honest thing, the perfect thing, the thing that disarms them, the thing that makes them trust you. I understand how you feel. You're right to be angry. I've never met anyone who sees the world like you do. These are key codes. They unlock the human firewall. Use them, but never forget that it is a simulation. If you start believing your own performance, you lose the advantage. You must remain the observer behind the glass. You are the sniper, and empathy is just the scope you use to find the target.
Rule 7. The calculated glitch. Weaponized imperfection. In 2026, perfection is suspicious. We are surrounded by AI-generated images, filtered faces, and curated lives. When something looks too perfect, our brain instinctively flags it as fake. We have entered the uncanny valley of social interaction. We do not trust the flawless politician. We do not trust the overly polite salesman. We do not trust the nice guy. Machiavelli would understand this instinct perfectly. To be trusted, you must appear human, and to appear human, you must be flawed. Therefore, you must weaponize imperfection. You must curate a weakness, a small, harmless vice that you display publicly to hide your true, dangerous ambitions. Maybe you have a bad temper about coffee being cold.
Maybe you admit to being hopeless with new technology. Maybe you confess to a fear of public speaking. Why do this? First, it makes you relatable. People relax around you. He's just like me, they think. They put down their shields. Second, and more importantly, it gives them a false sense of superiority. When they help you with your weakness, when they fix the printer for you, when they calm you down, they feel useful. They feel they have an edge on you. And whilst they are focused on your clumsy attempt to fix a spreadsheet or your rant about the British weather, they are not looking at the chess pieces you are moving in the background. A prince who appears invincible invites challenge. A prince who appears slightly broken invites sympathy. Sympathy is a far safer place to operate from. It is the ultimate camouflage. Let them see the crack in the armor, so they never suspect the knife in the boot.
Rule 8. Dopamine withdrawal. Control the timing. Time is no longer money. In this economy, time is dopamine. Everyone is addicted to the immediate response, the blue tick, the typing bubble, the notification sound. People panic when the loop is broken. They measure their self-worth by the speed of your reply. Machiavelli would see the smartphone not as a communication device, but as a leash, and he would ensure he is the one holding the handle. You must never respond on their schedule. You respond on yours. When you receive a text that demands an answer, you wait. Not because you are busy, though you should be, but because the waiting creates value. In that silence, their mind begins to work for you. They spiral. Did I say something wrong? Is he angry? Why isn't he replying? They check their phone. Nothing. They check again. Nothing. Then 6 hours later, you reply. Calm, brief, warm. The relief they feel is chemical. It is a hit of dopamine. And by providing that relief, you have conditioned them like a Pavlovian dog. You have taught them that your attention is a reward, not a right. In negotiations, this is lethal. In romance, it is addictive. The person who is willing to wait is the person who holds the power. The person who needs the answer now is the slave. Be the one who breaks the rhythm. In a world of instant gratification, delay is a god complex.
Rule 9. The necessary monster. Unify through fear. Machiavelli wrote, "Fear preserves you by a dread of punishment which never fails." But in 2026, you don't need to be the monster, you need to point at the monster. Society is fractured, people are lonely, atomized, desperate to belong to a tribe, and the fastest way to build a tribe is not love, it is not hope, it is a common enemy. If you want to lead a team, a group, or a movement, you must identify a threat, an external force that is trying to destroy us. It could be the competition. It could be the system. It could be a rival ideology. It doesn't matter if the threat is real or exaggerated. What matters is that it unifies the group. It gives them a purpose, survival. When people feel under attack, they look for a leader who can protect them. They stop questioning your methods. They stop looking at your flaws. They just want safety. You become their shield. This is dark, yes, but look around you. Every successful movement in history, and certainly in 2026, is built on this mechanic, us versus them. If you try to be a leader who appeals to logic, you will lose to the leader who appeals to survival. Find the monster, or manufacture one, and then offer them the sword to fight it.
Rule 10. The Judas kiss. Compliment before you crush. There is an amateur move I see men make constantly. They let their enemies know they are enemies. They glare across the office. They make snide comments. They posture. This is stupid. It gives the enemy time to prepare. It puts their defenses up. Machiavelli would despise this lack of discipline. If you plan to remove someone, to fire them, to break up with them, to outmaneuver them, you must treat them better than ever in the days before the strike. You compliment them. You agree with them. You make them feel secure. You make them feel safe. Why? Because a man who feels safe leaves his gates open. He sleeps soundly. He stops watching his back. And that is when you strike.
The blow should come out of nowhere. It should be total. Machiavelli said, "If an injury has to be done to a man, it should be so severe that his vengeance need not be feared. You do not wound, you remove." And by the time they realize what has happened, it is already over. They are standing in the car park with a box of their things, wondering how it went wrong, remembering how nice you were at lunch yesterday. This isn't cruelty, it is efficiency. It is the mercy of the quick death versus the torture of the long war. Never signal your intent. A smile is the best place to hide teeth.
Rule 11. Gaslighting reality. Own the frame. In 2026, truth is subjective. Deep fakes, AI-generated articles, conflicting narratives. Truth is no longer a solid object. Truth is simply the story that won. Machiavelli would not weep over misinformation. He would become the author. You must understand that people do not remember facts. They remember feelings. They remember how you made them feel about the facts. If you make a mistake, you do not apologize in a way that admits incompetence. You reframe it. You didn't fail to deliver the project on time. You chose to delay it to ensure quality standards that only you can uphold. You are not late. You are operating on a different priority. You are not rude. You are direct. If you say this with enough conviction, enough eye contact, and enough calm authority, 90% of people will doubt their own memory before they doubt your confidence. This is the power of frame control. Whoever holds the strongest frame wins the reality. Most people have weak frames. They are unsure. They are looking for someone to tell them what is real. Be that person. Define the history of your relationships. Define the narrative of your career. If you don't write your own story, someone else will write you in as the villain. Pick up the pen.
Rule 12. The chameleon skin. Death to identity. The modern world tells you to find yourself, to be authentic. This is a trap designed to make you rigid. A rigid object breaks under pressure. A fluid object adapts. Machiavelli would tell you to kill your identity. Do not be tied to being the nice guy or the tough guy or the moral guy. These are chains. Be what the situation requires. If the room requires a listener, you are mute. If the room requires a commander, you roar. If the room requires a fool, you dance. This is not a lack of character. It is the ultimate survival trait, adaptation. In 2026, the landscape changes every day. New laws, new taboos, new technologies. The dinosaurs died because they were too big to change. The mammals survived because they scrambled. Be the mammal. Shed your skin when it no longer serves you. Change your opinions when they stop being useful. Change your allies when they become liabilities. Loyalty to a sinking ship is not honor, it is suicide. Machiavelli asks you one question. Do you want to be right and dead, or flexible and alive?
Rule 13. The amoral outcome, the only thing that matters. We arrive at the final rule, the one that underpins all others, the bedrock of the Machiavellian philosophy. The world judges you on one metric alone, results. They do not care how hard you tried. They do not care about your intentions. They do not care about your excuses. Did you win or did you lose? Machiavelli is infamous for the phrase, "The ends justify the means." But let us look closer. He meant that if the end is preservation, order, and power, then history will forgive the methods used to get there. In your life, stop agonizing over the rules that society set for you. Those rules were written by the powerful to keep you obedient. The powerful do not follow the rules, they rewrite them. If you need to lie to protect your family, you lie. If you need to manipulate a boss to get the raise that feeds your children, you manipulate. If you need to be ruthless to secure your freedom, you sever the head. This is not about being evil, it is about being effective. In the coming years, the gap between the winners and the losers will be the width of a canyon. The winners will be those who did what was necessary. The losers will be those who did what was polite. Machiavelli would tell you to choose. You can be a saint in paradise or a prince on earth, but you cannot be both. So here we are, 13 rules, 13 blades. You might feel a resistance in your chest right now, a voice saying, "This is too dark, this is manipulative, I want to be a good person." Good. Keep that voice. That voice is your humanity. But understand this, you do not learn the sword to become a murderer. You learn the sword so that when the murderer comes, you are not helpless. The world of 2026 does not care about your feelings. The algorithms are not sentimental. The systems of control are tightening every single day. To navigate this darkness, you must carry a torch. And sometimes the fire that lights the way is the same fire that burns the city. Use these rules not to destroy, but to protect, to carve out a space where you are free, where you are not a data point, not a consumer, not a victim, but a sovereign. Machiavelli didn't write The Prince for the people already in power. He wrote it for the one who wanted to take it back. Take it back. If this opened your eyes, understand that this is only the surface. This is what I can show publicly. There are aspects of dark psychology, of social engineering, and of historical strategy that I simply cannot discuss on the open internet without being censored or demonetized. The algorithm suppresses the most powerful information because it fears those who wield it. Those lessons exist behind the join button. If you are still listening, you are not like the others. Subscribe if you haven't. That is the first step. But if you want what is hidden, if you want the full archive, click the join button and step into the architect level. You will unlock exclusive, uncensored dossiers that dive into the deepest parts of the human psyche. Most people won't click it. They are content to be the puppet. But you? I think you are ready to cut the strings. I will see you on the inside.